Sometimes you can be so caught up in your journey and your hustle that you forget how good God has been to you. So thank you for that amazing introduction. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. I'm blessed to be here. One of the first things I want to do before I kind of just get into what I'm going to say tonight is I would like everybody to take 30 seconds to a minute, and I want you to find at least one person in this room that you do not know. I want you to go to that person. Now, you don't have to give social security numbers or license plates or anything like that, but I want you to introduce yourself, and then I'll let you know. I'm counting down right now. I'll let you know when the 30 seconds to a minute is up. So we're going to start right now. 30 seconds left, 30 seconds left. Five, four, three, two, one. So, the purpose of that exercise was often when we go to conferences or dinners to see and hear someone speak, we often look to the person that is on that stage to potentially change our lives. And without a doubt, that's what I'm here to do. But the people that also will change your lives are the people sitting in front of you, behind you, and to the side. And as everybody in this room is committed to changing Erie, I wanted to make sure that you found that one person that you did not know, because tomorrow that could be the one person to help you, or you could help them. So I had the privilege of meeting Elaine Stanton. Stand up, Miss Stanton. That's my new friend. Yeah. All right. I have to do this because I know this is being recorded, and my family's going to see this, so I have to shout out to my wife, who also works for GE in Atlanta. And I have to shout out to my daughter, Jalen, who got 2 8s and 9s in gymnastics today. So, thank you. Mr. Sherrod, I would like to thank you for bringing me here and believing in me and really doing something groundbreaking as far as having me here. So, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Congrats to all the award winners tonight. You guys are doing phenomenal work. I'm truly inspired. And I hope to work with you one day as well. So a disclaimer tonight. Tonight, you will not hear me use the word minority to describe African Americans. This word means small, and if you continue to put that stigma on a group of people at some point, those people will begin to feel, think, and act as if they are less than. I myself, I am a person of color, obviously. I am an African American. I am a South Side of Chicago native, a father, a husband, but by no means am I a minority. I am small, however, but that's only because of my physical stature. My wife told me that one day she prayed for a man that was 6'5", and I told her that God had a sense of humor and gave her a man that was 5'6", and that's me. But I digress. First, let me say that is pretty much been echoed by everybody that's come up here. God is just not good, but God is great. Because what I have experienced in my 3 days in Erie since I touched down on Thursday has been nothing short of amazing. On Thursday, I touched down at 11 a.m. and I was immediately ushered to my first school where I was speaking at Collegiate Academy. I spoke probably at a total of 5 to 6 middle schools, and then I went to speak at the YMCA as well, over an 8-hour span. And what I experienced was truly beautiful and amazing. I had the honor of speaking to some of the most thoughtful, sincere, honest, intelligent, and optimistic kids that I had ever come across. So I thank you to all the students, teachers, administrators who have shown me so much love during my school tour. I am forever changed, and I truly mean that. It was a reminder that not only are the children the future, but they are the present too. Because if everyone in this room does not invest in the children of Erie today, these awesome kids that I met won't have a future. And when I say invest, I just don't mean money. I mean the most important thing that as human beings that we have, and that's time. So I hope tonight will spark action, accountability, inspiration, and a commitment to not just being good, but great. Frederick Douglass said, and I love this quote so much, I prayed for 20 years, but received no answer until I prayed with my legs. I'm gonna say that one more time. Frederick Douglass said, I prayed for 20 years, but received no answer until I prayed with my legs. I love this quote so much because it's about action. God gives us all the ability to do something or be something, but you have to act on it in order for it to come to fruition. Tonight, I also want it to be about action. I don't want us just to eat good, look good, smell good, drink good, and then we go home and nothing takes place. I want to thank everybody in this room tonight for coming out in this cold weather. I reside in Atlanta, so it's cold to me. So I would like to thank everybody for coming out tonight to honor such a great man, Dr. King, and especially on the cusp of the 50-year anniversary of the March on Selma, which, by the way, was a very powerful movie. Now, I was told that I am the youngest speaker in the history of this event, so it's truly an honor to be that. I want to thank Marcus Atkinson, congratulations on your award, by the way, who is not only become a friend to me in the year that we've been going back and forth, but a mentor and a brother as well. You lead by example. I see that you can work hard, you can play hard, and still take care of your family. And you've been a walking example for me, so I appreciate that. I want to also thank Marcus Atkinson's team, who has been just as influential and inspirational to me. And what we've shared over the last couple of days, I'm extremely thankful. I thank them for having faith in me that someone as young as I could help me bring this community together and bring new energy. I met Marcus and his team some years ago in Atlanta, and we just stayed in touch. But little did I know that he was watching me. He followed my growth via social media, and one day last year around this time, he reached out to me and presented me with this great opportunity. It goes to what my parents always say, Aaron, you never know who's watching you. And that was always true, because I got into my fair share of trouble when I was younger. Won't get into details. And somehow my parents would always find out. And God bless my parents, because they've been married for 44 years and have sacrificed so much so that I could be standing here today. So I thank them for all they did and continue to do. My parents grew up at a time where the saying, it takes a village, was really practiced. They believed that and raised me under the same pretense. My mom would always say, Aaron, we can't be around you 24 hours, so it's God and truly the blessings of others who assist us in keeping you on the right track. And to this day, I believe that. When my parents grew up, it was that type of community and togetherness that made African Americans in the United States during the 50s and 60s, at the height of the civil rights era, such a potent force in this country. African Americans during those times in the United States had yet to experience some of the successes and access that my generation and the generations coming after me have experienced. So out of necessity, African Americans were forced to stick together because there's always protection through association. My dad tells me stories today of him growing up in Chattanooga and seeing white-only signs. And he would say to me, Aaron, I feel bad for your generation, because when I was growing up, I could see where the racism was coming from. It was right in front of me. Nowadays, it's institutional, and you can't see it. And it was this institutional racism that my father spoke of that was so evident in 2014 via what took place in Ferguson, Missouri, a town that is, as I'm sure most of us know, 70% African American, but controls nothing from political influence to law enforcement. Per CNN, only 12% of the black population even voted in Ferguson. In 2014, there were also new laws aiming to suppress voter registration rights in the communities around the country that affect people of color. These discriminatory practices, to some extent, played a significant role in African American voter registration turnout that plummeted from 39% to 35% respectively in 2014. So what I want my generation and all the younger generations in here today to understand is we must get our house in order. I would like for everybody to say that with me. We must get our house in order. Everybody's so articulate, thank you. Before we go blaming anyone else for our situation, we must look in the mirror. We must understand that the war isn't won in just the streets, but the courtrooms, the local elections, the classrooms, and the church. The pen is truly mightier than the sword. And in 2014, protests and social media served as a great tool for our generation in galvanizing and bringing attention to some of the injustices that are still plaguing our communities. But we must understand, the way to right those injustices is to change the influence in policy, as Dr. King and many civil rights participants did in the 50s and 60s. The way to right these injustices is to get out to the polls during national, state, and local elections and exercise that influence. And if we don't like the candidates, run yourself. No excuse. Again, we must keep our house in order. I put emphasis on house or home because the fabric of America is the home. And while I appreciate many platforms and programs and foundations that have been and are currently aimed at helping the African American community, things still have gotten worse. My hometown, Chicago, has once again become the murder capital of the world, with kids of color, younger and younger, being murdered and doing the murdering at an alarming rate. In the city of Erie and other places around the country, there's the same plight. Let me share a story with you. When I started my first corporate job out of college, I was the only African American person in the group and was faced with what I like to call stereotyped discrimination. Now, I don't think my bosses or my colleagues were racist at all, but they did have preconceived notions that created a very challenging work environment for me. Then one day my mentor took me to lunch and he sat down with me and he said, "Aaron, let me see your memos and some of your projects." And while I'm eating this good fish fillet that he had bought for me because he had a lot of money and he liked fancy things, I saw him with a red pen just marking up a bunch of papers. And so he hands these papers back to me and he says, "Aaron, until you can become perfect at your job, you have no right to complain no matter what the current climate is." And in that moment, which I did not like, but I was only 21, in that moment he told me what I needed to hear, not what I wanted to hear. It was what I needed to hear that would force me to buckle down and learn how to become good and hopefully eventually great at my job. You see, sometimes us as a community, we only hear what we want to hear, but not what we need to hear. And sometimes we don't listen at all because we're too busy pointing out the obvious ills that plague our community. We've known these ills for decades, but what's the point of speaking out against others when the problem and the solution is internal? So I say three things. Until we as a community care enough to show up and vote in droves, we have nothing to complain about. Until we as a community and parents care enough to be involved in our children's schools and education on a daily basis, we have nothing to complain about. You see, I have a 12-year-old daughter, and like me, she is a product of a public school in a mostly African-American area. But the reason her school is good is not because of the area that my wife and I live in, or because the school is big, or because there are a lot of kids that go to the school. The reason why her school is good is because the parents are involved. You can build a $100 million school today with the best of the best resources, but if the parents are not involved in their children and the teachers and holding both accountable, then it will simply just be a crappy $100 million school. Until we as a community can stop killing each other, how can we expect law enforcement to treat us with dignity when we don't treat ourselves with dignity? And by no means am I justifying the decades of police brutality that have plagued our community. As a kid and as an adult, I have dealt with some of the most unruly police officers who were simply engaging me because of what I look like. However, I have also met some of the nicest and most respectful police officers who at times probably saved my life. And if we get more involved, we can have more law enforcement representatives who look like us and understand us and come from where we come from. and a lot can change. And this isn't just about holding my generation accountable, all the young people in the audience. I also hold the generations that came before me accountable. As I always say to a lot of my older counterparts and mentors and things of that nature, we didn't bring the guns and drugs into our country or in our community. So please stop blaming us and offer us better guidance. I ask the older generations in this room today to not give up on me and the generations coming after, but take accountability and then help us provide solutions. I want you to remember what it was like when you were young in the struggles. I want you to remember what it was like to have people who didn't believe in you and finally meet that one person or persons who did believe in you and gave mentorship and how it changed your life. We can no longer afford to have a crabs in a barrel mentality as a community. I want the older generations in this room to go out in Erie and beyond and look at all the young people and what they're involved in, from business to technology to education to entertainment, and learn from them, but also teach them. I say that again, learn from them, but also teach them. Go on the internet and learn about the new wave of civil rights organizations being driven by young people across this country, because you did pave the way, but your job is not done either. Yes, we as young people may have tattoos or earrings in our ears and love hip-hop and rap music, like to turn up, etc., etc. But we're just like you, intelligent, hungry, and committed to making our world better. See, I have both tattoos and earrings, and I love rap music, and yet I stand before you blessed enough tonight to be your keynote speaker. So never judge any book or person by its cover. And see, I'm not a preacher, and I'm not trying to preach today, but I'm telling you and sharing my experience growing up on the south side of Chicago and going to college at Florida A&M University, to corporate America, to now as an entrepreneur, a husband, and father. And for everyone in this room who does not think that as a community we can overcome our internal obstacles, I ask you to leave the room now. Okay, everybody's on board. You see, I am an optimist, and as an entrepreneur you have to be, because when you launch a company, you're basically going to the world and say, hey, look at me. I have a product and a vision that will change your life and maybe the world. In other words, it's called having faith. And that's what Dr. King had. He had a whole lot of faith. He had unwavering belief and faith in his colleagues and the movement that they were building. He believed and had faith in his community. He believed and had faith in the future, and that one day we might even have an African American president. He believed that one day a kid like me from the south side of Chicago, a product of the public school system, who couldn't even get into Harvard coming out of high school, would one day be able to take advantage of what is called the American dream, and one day go speak there instead. He had a dream. See, Dr. King was a brand strategist before that name even existed. In the present day, Dr. King would have been on the covers of Brand Week magazine, Ad Age magazine, Public Relations Weekly, World Star Hip Hop, Vibe magazine, Fast Company, and my favorite, I think he would at least have over 100 million followers on Twitter. And the reason why is because his approach, his mind, and the way he thought was that innovative. And innovation is the foundation of the entrepreneurial spirit. And so when I say the words entrepreneurship, I don't mean starting a company, because entrepreneurship isn't about starting a company at all. It's about daring to be a dreamer and then a great success by executing the same as Dr. King did. It's about being willing to lose everything that is good in order to achieve everything that is great, as Dr. King was willing to do. And I will say that again because I've had conversations tonight with some people that are on the cusp of wondering whether they should pursue their dream. They're worried about money and things of that nature. Well, the one thing I will tell you, if you do not pursue your dream, you will have regrets for the rest of your life. It is about, again, being willing to lose everything that is good in order to achieve everything that is great. And with everything I've experienced since I've been in Erie, the talent here, there is truly talent here in order to make Erie great. Everyone, and I mean everyone, in the audience tonight, I want you to stand up and commit to it. I would like everybody in the audience to stand up. I know I'm asking y'all to do a lot of things. We're going to burn off them calories. But so by you guys standing up and participating in a lot of the exercises that I've asked you to do, I want everybody to say, I commit to making Erie great. That's it. It's just that simple. Now the execution begins. Now, in some of this, oh, you can sit down now. Thank you. Now, some in this room may wonder what qualifies me to make some of these statements about eerie dreams, innovation, and Dr. King. Timing is everything, and it's so amazing how God works. I'm going to share a personal story with you that I probably haven't even shared since I've been here. 11 years ago, I got a job in my last PR agency in New York. And I simply went there because they were offering me $50,000 more. And I was like, wow, I've made it. This is good. This is great. So I thought. But the first week I stepped into that office, I hated it. I couldn't understand. I was making good money. I was almost making six figures. I couldn't understand why I was miserable. I had been trained, I had been taught that when you go to college, you leave, you make as much money as you can, you get the white picket fence. Was it 2.5 children? I don't understand how you have 2.5 children, but still, 2.5 children. That was the American dream. But the first week I was there, I hated it. So, I called my mom, and my mom told me something so profound. She said, Aaron, never do anything for a paycheck alone. But I wasn't that disciplined yet. I was like, Mama, these paychecks are too good. I'm paying my bills with one check and I got another one coming? No, buddy. The other thing that was holding me back, causing fear in my life, is I was preparing to get married in 8 months. So, again, that check was looking real nice every other week. But as I continued to work at that agency, I continued to get sick. I continued to call in sick. I continued to make up excuses that I prayed to God didn't happen, because if they did, I wouldn't be here today. But that's just how miserable I was. For the first time in my life, I was 24 at the time. For the first time in my life, I learned that what happens up here affects everything else in your body. But I still was held back by fear. And, well, what am I going to do? This check is so good. The check, the power of money. So I had a conversation with now who is my mentor, and he's now president of VH1, a guy by the name of Tom Calderon. And he said, Aaron, I don't know what you want to do, but I know you have a short window of opportunity to execute it. You could be 80 years old on the beach, grandkids, and rich, but he's like, you would look back some years ago and say, I shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I didn't. And as a man, that's no way to live. There's a book, my favorite book, Good to Great, by Jim Collins. And there's a quote that starts off the first chapter, and I'm paraphrasing it, but it says, an unsatisfied death is a life in which you didn't take chances. So when I read that, and when I heard what Tom Calderon said and what my mother said, I said, cool, I'm gonna figure out what I want to do. So I went home one night, and a lot of times as individuals, we have problems being honest with ourselves. And so I had to ask myself, if I could do something for free, what would it be? So I asked myself, I laid down, I'm not gonna lie, I had a couple glasses of Jack Daniels, and music was that common theme. So I was extremely surprised. I was just a fan of music, but my dad taught and launched the music business program at Kentucky State University. My mother used to sing opera, and I was even in concert choir when I was in high school. So music has been around me my whole life. But see, I'm not a musician. I'm not talented enough to sing or rap or perform to make money. But I was always attracted to the business side, hence the name of my company, Music is My Business. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm only 24. I've been at 4 of the top 5 global PR agencies. Anybody's gonna hire me. So I sent my resume to all the top record labels, and nobody called me back. Humility is sometimes the greatest teacher. So I had another conversation with another mentor. And if you guys are picking up on it, mentoring is so important. I had a conversation with another mentor, and he said, Aaron, in order to get into this business, you have to volunteer. And I'm like, volunteer, like on Saturdays? He's like, no, you have to volunteer, like work for free. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I was like, man, I don't know if I can do that. But I was becoming so miserable at my paying job that I was like, okay, I'll do whatever I have to do. And so I sent my resume in for internships. Didn't hear anything back either. Well, I went on interviews, but then I didn't hear anything back for months. And so I tell you these dates because these dates are what changed my life. July 17th, 2004, I got married. July 18th, 2004, I get a call. I hadn't even been married for 24 hours. I get a call from somebody that was younger than me, who was gonna be my boss, asking me, do you wanna take this unpaid internship at Bad Boy Records? I said, sure, but I was like, listen, I'm about to go on my honeymoon and I have to give my job 2 weeks notice. He was like, well, Aaron, you can come to us for the next 2 weeks after you get off work, but if you don't show up on Tuesday, we're gonna get this internship away. I showed up on Tuesday, didn't go on my honeymoon, and I will tell you this, I'm no longer married to that woman anymore. And so a lot of people might say, well, wow, how could you do that? But there's never a perfect time to take a great opportunity. So everybody in this room that is frozen right now by fear that wants to do something, everybody in this room that wants to change the community in Erie, everybody in this room that just wants to do something great, why wait? Start Monday, start Tuesday when you get back, because there's never a perfect time to take a great opportunity. And it was that, every opportunity and everything that you do comes with a sacrifice. That was my sacrifice. But if I had not taken that opportunity, if I had not followed my heart, I would not be standing here before you right now. And I love what I do because I get to inspire and educate people all over the country. And so, if I look at what Dr. King was about, there was probably never a perfect time for him to execute all the opportunities that he had. And so, as I stand here tonight, obviously in no way am I comparing myself to Dr. King, but we are all disciples of what he has created. Marcus and I were joking earlier, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today. Like literally, I would not be speaking here today. That's how great he is, that every year we come together to recognize this man and what he's done. And so I want to close on this because this is one of the things that I've been passionate about. I wrote about it when I wrote a blog for CNN that was mentioned earlier during the introduction. And there are some amazing programs that you guys have in Erie. There are some amazing programs that we have nationwide that cater to us helping and saving our kids. And kids always come first. But the one thing that I've realized is that, I go to a lot of schools when I go speak. And when I go speak to those kids, the kids are enthusiastic, they're interested, they're ready to go. But then a lot of those kids go home. And so what I want to challenge everybody in here today, while it's still important for us to save these kids, we can't save these kids unless we save our parents. I want to say that again, we cannot save our kids unless we save these parents. Because all of us in this room could put in some of the groundbreaking work. We could go to all the schools and inspire all the kids. But if those kids go home and it's not reinforced, then what is the point? I know many young parents like myself, some that are younger, some that are older. We've all made mistakes in life, and for whatever reason, they have not had a second chance, but they want a second chance. And so I encourage everybody, the policymakers, the sponsors, people that are heads of foundations and churches and things of that nature, I challenge you guys to integrate that into your strategy. That is one of the things that moving forward that I'm so passionate about. A lot of times when I speak, and I even ask Marcus this, if I'm speaking to kids, I want to know if the parents are going to be there. So again, as we move forward, I look forward to working with you. I truly thank everybody for allowing me to be here. I've met some amazing people. I've got a lot of business cards. I was already told I will be coming back here during the summer, so that's cool because it'll be warmer. And I just really want to thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to working with you guys in the very near future. Thank you so much.